now. All right, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you are just joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from in the chat. And also, in an effort to help our communications team know what works and what doesn't work, if you can let us know how you heard about this event, whether it was from Instagram or emails or newsletters, or maybe I'm missing something else, but just let us know how you found out, word of mouth, so that we can know what's working and what's not working. All right. My name is Victor Davila. On behalf of the AIGA DEC Steering Committee, I'd like to welcome you to this month's event. I appreciate you spending your Friday afternoons with us. I know you could be doing a million things, so we're so happy that you are here with us. The AIGA Design Educators Community is part of AIGA, the Professional Association for Design. At the DEC, we work to create programming and opportunities for design educators in K through 12, higher ed, and beyond. Today, I am thrilled to welcome our speaker. She is a designer, educator, author, et cetera, all those things and more, and part of the faculty of MICA in Baltimore. She is everyone's type mom, and today we'll be talking about how to use social media for your teaching practice. Please help me welcome Ellen Lupton.
Hi, thank you so much, Victor. Thank you, Design Educators Group. I love you. Type Mom loves you. I'm really excited to do this because it's fun to talk about social media. And I started making these reels about typography maybe 6-8 months ago because I had a class on Domestika. And the person helping me market the class said I had to make reels. And I was like, what is a reel? I had no idea. And I always avoided them myself when I was on Instagram because I didn't want like noise coming out of my phone. And she explained that it was a short video and that I needed to do this. And so I did. And I really enjoyed it and continue to enjoy it. I found they did very little to actually promote my class. And they really became just a way to share content. And ultimately, I think that's what all of us can really have fun doing, is that this is a medium for getting your content out there. We teach in the classroom, we can teach on Instagram. So I'm going to show you a little bit, some principles and theories, and of course, a bunch of clips of what I've been doing. And mine is just one way. Obviously, I'm really curious to hear what all of you are doing. And we'll have some time at the end, I think, to chat and talk about that. So can you see my screen? And is this chat window in the screen? Should I not have that visible?
No, we can just see your screen. We don't see the chat window.
Okay, good. Because I'm going to try to follow the chat, but probably I'll refer to it later, just because, oh no, I'm on Zoom. I need to like focus. Okay. So really, a reel is storytelling. And so is this talk. And we're going to sort of, look at some chapters and scenes. It's basically a very short play and 5 short acts. And I promise we won't get lost in the molasses swamp. So this is my little guide. We're going to talk about content, which is like, what do you want to say? And we'll talk about your character and persona, and that's you, right? What is your presence on screen? And I want to talk about narrative structure, which has been really helpful to me in like shaping these little 1-minute movies to have like an arc and a conclusion. And that didn't come instantly. It's something I kind of figured out as I was going. And then, playing with props is really fun because it helps you be more active and it's not just like your face on the screen. So I can show you a little bit about that. And then finally, you know, getting over it, like all the stuff you just have to accept about yourself if you're going to do this. And if we have time, you know, some techie stuff, like that's like if you have questions about, you know, software editing or anything like that, I'm sure lots of people have more answers than I do, but I'm happy to share my answers. So these are, you know, this is like my kind of brand, this teacher who has stuff to share, and she's always a little bit panicked and worried, but she's very positive and very optimistic and not about yelling at people or, you know, being negative about rules, but I think is a very inviting and warm person. And she is me, you know, she's just a little bit amped up version of me. So I'm going to play a clip to show you this. Some of you probably don't know my Instagrams or just here for the curiosity. So this one is about grids, and all of my content are things that my students at MICA have some confusion or uncertainty about. And I think as educators, we start to feel that everything we know is obvious to other people and to our students, like they already know this. I have graduate students, right? You would think they would know everything already, but they don't. And so all of my topics are things that seem to be genuinely, you know, something people are curious about or uncertain about, or things I see people doing that I think they could do better. So here, this one is about grids, and I hope I shared with the sound. So Victor, will you tell me if the sound doesn't play? Oh no, what are grids for?
We hear it.
Grids create order and consistency. Use grids to cut your page into even pieces and uneven ones. Make wide columns and narrow columns. Make beautiful blank spaces. And don't forget horizontal relationships. Grids don't have to be boring. Okay, so that's sort of getting us into this this topic of content, which is, what do you want to say? And when Domestica asked me to make reels for my class, this young woman who is helping me, she said, like, it can't be promotional. You have to share tips and information that is really useful to people. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh no. And then you draw upon what are the things that you know that are happening in your class that you think people should want to have more information. And you know, being funny is really nice, but it's definitely not enough. Like, unless you're Sarah Silverman, you should not be making comedy videos. You need to have like content that is of real value to people. And then the being funny is like a plus. It's like becomes part of your style and an extra. But you got to have like real stuff. And Jerry Seinfeld once said, you know, the best comedy is about something. So that about is really important. So, you know, things that you might be doing in your social media, you know, software tips, celebrating student work, design principles, books are a really nice genre, you know, showing books that you just bought and flipping through them and talking about them, all kinds of stuff. And these should be, you know, your passionate things, but also things that you feel are useful, right? That someone's going to want to know this stuff. So I'm going to show you a clip from mine about letter spacing. And I just felt like this is such an important part of typography. And I was just seeing my students like not necessarily experimenting with the space between letters and not, just using type out of the box and thinking, well, here's something so simple you can do that totally changes your typography. So here's a real short one on letter spacing. Oh no, we have to talk about letter spacing. Do you like it loose or do you like it tight? Positive letter spacing is airy and classical. Negative spacing is funky and intense. Sometimes it's nice to keep a little distance, but let's snuggle up close when tight feels right. My dog really doesn't like being in these movies. You can see him looking a little like annoyed, but there's always a treat afterwards. Okay, so like character is really important. And if you think about, movies and novels that you love, right, the characters have to be likable, but they also have to be like flawed and real. So that's really important to me, that Type Mom is vulnerable and doesn't have all the answers, and is, a little bit embarrassing. So like when you think about creating a persona, and writers do this too, when they kind of develop a voice as a writer, you want to be really true to yourself, but also amp it up a little bit, right? A little bit of exaggeration. A friend of mine was encouraging me to like do more acting and to like wear costumes and like be more extreme. And I really don't want to do that. Like I want to be me. I want it to be authentic, but also just a little bit turning up the volume. So that's something you can think about, to what are the parts of you that you want to kind of highlight and exaggerate, but that are authentic to you. So I wanted to show you some people that I really like. This is Natasha Pierre, and she is an entrepreneur and expert in social media. And actually, when I started making reels, I took her class on Domestika about how to make reels. And I'm putting this in the chat because really everything that I know, like technically and how this whole medium works, really came from taking this class. I watched it multiple times. She is like so good, and she's so likable and so warm and so open. And I just felt like just her whole presence on screen really inspired me. And she has like great information. If you're new to this, totally recommend it. I don't know her at all. I'm just saying this is great content. What else do I have here? This is a really great one I just started following. Teresa S. Fink is a professional proofreader, and she just like rides hard her nerdiness, and she gets like super technical about the English language, which I love. Like it's as if English is Latin. It's so complex, but she makes it all really clear. And there she is. She's really fun, and her content is just like hardcore. This is what she loves. She loves language, and she wants to help writers write better, which is like such a beautiful gift to the world. This is another really great person. She goes by Professor Casey, which I really like. So she really owns like her authority as a professor in a university, and she is an information scientist, and she explains all kinds of stuff about the internet and AI and ethics and legal stuff. And I'm going to play you a really beautiful video that she made, which is definitely aspirational. Like she lip syncs a song, and she really owns it. She really spent a lot of time figuring it out. But her video that I'm going to show you is book recommendations. And I think this is a really nice genre for us as graphic design educators, because we want our students read books and to go to the library and to increase their literacy about design. So I really love this this book recommendation video by Professor Casey.
I come from scientists and atheists and white men who kill God. They make technology high quality, complex, physiological experiments and sacrilege in the name of public good. They taught me everything, just like a daddy should. And you were beautiful and vulnerable and power and success. Goddamn, I fell for you. Your flamethrowers, your tunnels, and your tech. I studied code because I wanted to do something great like you. And the real tragedy is half of it was true.
Is that awesome? I just love it. And of course, in her caption, she includes the names of all the books because they go by really fast. And that's something I learned in the Natasha Pierre's course, is how important the captions are, that it's another way that people engage. You can really enrich the amount of content that you're delivering and reinforce it. It also makes your content more accessible to have it available as a text that can be read. So I really like how she uses that feature here. So I'm going to show you one of mine about line lengths. Okay, fascinating topic. So I've always actually been really, really insecure about line lengths in typography. And I remember as a student, a million years ago, that there's all this math involved and you were supposed to count how many characters are in a line and you couldn't go over some number and under another number. And to this day, I felt a kind of insecurity that, like, if somebody stopped me on the street and said, how many characters can be in a line, I would want to die and crawl under a rock because I just can never remember the right answer. So this is one that I think reflects that vulnerability and the need to look things up and not be the authority. So this will answer all your questions about line lengths. Oh no, I'm worried about line lengths. Long lines are exhausting. Short lines are choppy and spotty and full of holes. But how many characters should fit on a line? Oh no, all these experts say something different. So let's choose the smallest number, 35 characters per line, and the biggest number, 75 characters per line, in case anyone's really counting. It's my dog again. So, now at least I have it written down somewhere. And, and the point is, it's really, you're looking for the right shape, right? The right, what is the effect you want? Okay, let's talk about narrative structure. Narrative is pretty simple. It's a beginning, a middle, and an end, okay? And simple as that is, a lot of times we forget that we need all three of those things. So at the beginning, it's what's this going to be about? What is your topic, right? Pretty simple. And then, the center of your video is explaining it, right? Showing us with action and examples, ideally a little bit of conflict. And then at the end, there needs to be some kind of punchline or conclusion or reinforcement or callback. And when I first started making these videos, I really was missing the end. I would just finish whatever the topic was and it would be over. And I realized as I got better at it that the end is actually the most important thing. That it's that's the click. That's it's very important. So really think about that as you make a video. And so I'm going to show you one about, this is one of my favorite ones. It's about how to choose type sizes. And so at the beginning is the urgent question, right? And our hero is going to help you solve this problem. how do I choose type sizes? And then in the middle is the action. And I'm showing it through physical objects, but also through concrete typography examples. There's some conflict because I don't get it right immediately. And then how does it end? It ends with a kind of sensory extra, like this beautiful thing of I'm painting this toy with nail polish. And it's just something beautiful. It's like the end of The Great Gatsby, you know, grandiose, right? It's like this poetic moment that maybe doesn't reinforce a pedagogical principle, but it's like memorable, right? It's that extra, it's dessert. Okay, so here's this video. Oh no, how do I choose type sizes? Let's start with 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. Too similar. Conflict. Let's go bigger and smaller. This type is all the same. Still feels almost the same. So make the big type bigger and the small type smaller. Now let's style our type to make this baby sing. Bold, italic, small caps. Let's move this tiny line to the top. Nice. Mix it up and make it different. Okay, so that's narrative structure, and this one, I don't know why this is this one, this is about optical sizes, which is a pretty technical topic, but really something I think people should know about. And what I like about this is the way it ends. It has a really sweet ending that I think is very, very memorable and kind of emotional. And so if Type Mom is about love and loving type and loving you, I think the way this ends really captures that sense, that essence. And so just thinking about endings, I think is really fun. So I'm going to play this one too. Oh no! What are optical sizes? Special font styles created for different scales are called optical sizes. Headlines have sharper contrast. Text faces have sturdier strokes. Caption styles are even sturdier, so they stay visible in tiny copy. Remember, a giant headline isn't just a blown-up caption. Each style is unique, like you. Oh, I love that tiny house at the end. I see some awes in the chat. Exactly. So another structure is the hero's journey, which is a circle. And this is famous in literature all around the world, that the hero, you know, starts at home in a familiar place and then enters a magical world where there's all kinds of conflict and problems. And then the hero comes back to the beginning. You know, Dorothy goes back to Kansas. I don't know why, but she does. Right. And that's like, so the hero's journey is this circle. And kind of the simplest way to enact the hero's journey in a 60-second video is to return to the beginning. And it's what a comedian would call a callback, where you have something seeded early in a set, and then you return to it, and it is fun because it's familiar, right? But this is a structure that's really helpful. And generally circular structures are very helpful in essay writing. So if you think about a pedagogical video as teaching an idea, coming back to the beginning is just it's a tried and true essay structure, literary structure, and heroic story structure. So let's descend into chaos with Type Mom at our side. So this one is about organizing your content. And I use my junk drawer in my kitchen as a metaphor. So we descend into the chaos of Type Mom's junk drawer, which is a total mess, appalling. And we battle this mess with a magical weapon, the grid. And at the end, everything is fine. You know, it is all cleaned up. And we go back to the beginning, but now there's this new order. So let me show you this hero's journey. Oh no, my content is a mess. First, is the language clear and inclusive? Change marital status to relationship status. Does the order make sense? Group these related items and save 2 lines. Let's group these too. Get rid of redundant words. And finally, what's the hierarchy? Style it for beauty and sense. Cleaning up is fun. Dump everything out, put it in piles, and make a pretty grid. Let's sort it out. Okay, so that's the hero's journey. And then, you know, props are really fun. If it's all your head, that's not so fun. Plus, you'll just hate it, editing it. So like manipulating objects, you know, using your hands to point at things is really nice. It doesn't all have to be lifting an object up to the camera. You know, you can have the camera on your desk showing things, or, you know, people get into costumes, and Teresa S. Fink, the copyright proofreader, she does really great things with wigs and putting her text on like a little mini whiteboard. So these physical objects are super fun. And this is like a pretty elaborate, I got pretty heavy and political in this one. This is a video about Trajan's column. And I got really interested in Trajan's column and the outsized importance it has in the history of typography. This is a war monument built in the 1st century AD that still exists and is completely intact today. So it has this legendary role in the history of Latin typography. Many typefaces were designed based. The type of lettering used in it was used to spread the Latin alphabet across the Roman Empire and to wipe out local languages and to create, you know, a kind of hegemonic typography. So tell that story in 60 seconds. So I use a lot of props in this video to basically to subvert the mighty column and to make it, to bring it down to a more, let's say, human scale. So this is heavy on the props and a more ambitious video, I think, than a lot of mine. Oh no, it's Trajan's column. This war monument is why capital letters convey power and authority. Trajan's column is 10 stories high. At the very, very bottom are these letters, which inspired many beautiful typefaces across history. For centuries, designers have traveled to Rome to see and draw and touch Trajan's column. Recently, I went to Rome to see Trajan's column myself. Today, you can't touch the column, but seeing this giant monument made me feel the connection between power and capital letters. The Roman Empire spread these carved letters across Europe, showing dominance. Writing in all caps suggests power and strength. Lowercase brings it down a notch. Typography is power. Use it wisely. Okay, there's the Trajan's column. And then my last little chapter here is about I call it get over it. So if you're gonna do this, there's things you have to accept. Like, I hate my voice, I hate my face. There's haters, there's trolls. I'm the oldest person on the internet. I do get comments to that effect. You know, I've been called a fake granny. You know, that you just, this is it, you know. So if you're going to do it, there's an element of embarrassment to this. But if you're too embarrassed, then don't do it. Right? So I've kind of gotten over that. And the last clip that I want to show you is one of my bloopers. And this is one where I was comparing wine and cheese. And I was out on my back porch. It was about 20 degrees outside. So I'm all like bundled up. And there's this hair, a gray hair, stuck to the cheese. And it looks not so bad in the still, but in the actual video, the hair is like waving and moving. And I didn't notice it, you know, because I'm just looking at my phone and, you know, but other people were noticing it and commenting on it, and it was embarrassing. And this is also a very early video I did that doesn't really end. So I would call this a blooper in several ways, the hair, but also like the narrative that I was just figuring out like how to narrate these things. So I'm going to play this one and then open it up to what y'all are doing and questions, thoughts. We can do some knowledge sharing. Okay, so this is my last little clip. Oh no, why does this go with this? This is tart. This is creamy. Different, but they're both funky, fermented, and a little bit old. Urbana is sans and Bagatella is serif. Different, but they're similar too. They both have narrow proportions, a casual vibe, and big X-heights. So they go together. It just ends. So if I were going to redo this, I would check my cheese carefully for hair. And I would just think of an end that is, I think it should end with something sensual, because the idea is this enjoyment of cheese and wine, and it just stops, and that's not cool. So I'd love to know what you all are doing and questions that you have. And I see there's some questions in the chat, so I'm going to stop the share. And please just let's have a conversation now. That's the beauty of this format.
That was awesome. Thank you, Ellen. Julie Terry Graphics, if you want to unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask the question yourself if you'd like.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Ellen. I'm such a big fan. I have so many of your books. I've taken many of your classes, and it's really helped me with my classes. And anyway, how long did it take you? I mean, how long have you been making the videos, and when did it finally click where you felt like, oh, I can do this. This is working. It's going somewhere.
I think I started making them last January, so about a year, you know, close to a year. I got into it, like I started doing it and I'm like, I like this. This is fun. But I definitely took, you know, that class I took, the Natasha Pierre class, I would have been completely lost without it. I mean, because her thing is like the technical things that were really useful, but also just the why and the, you know, the content. So that was really helpful. but and then I got better, and this idea of ending well and having more of an arc took me a while to get that. And so about a year. Thanks.
Thank you.
I see Natalie has a question. Do you want to ask your question?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just curious, how long does it take you to make one of these? Like the shooting, the production, like what's the turnaround time for that piece of content?
It takes, probably 4 or 5 hours altogether. Writing it, I always write a script, even though it's so short. Almost because it's so short, it's more important to know exactly what you're going to say. The worst part is the filming myself talking. I just dread it. And I have to have the house empty. I can't have anybody hearing me do that. It's like, some people can only go to the toilet when the house is empty. I'm like, I find it very cringy and embarrassing, even just by myself. So that's the worst part. But they're only 60 seconds. So how bad can it be? And then you shoot like B-roll and, the other stuff that doesn't have your face in it. That's really fun.
Vinicius, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if you actually use your content in the classroom when you're teaching these concepts, and how do the students perceive them if they watch them and tell you? It's like, I saw you.
Oh yeah. They definitely watch them, which is fun. I don't show them in class. That would be weird. But I know that they watch them and they tell me about it, which is cute. And I have this thing where every Monday I bring baked goods to class that have a graphic design theme. And sometimes those are reels and people, I saw your reels and we get to eat these, muffins today or whatever. So yeah, they see them, but it's not like it's not like homework or like a direct communication to my students. Again, there's a little bit of like, it would be weird to say, oh, you have to watch my Instagram or you have to follow me. You have to just be a little chill. I'm not a very chill person. Try. Yeah. I see Julie
Ellen
has a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Julie.
Oh yeah, thank you. I was wondering what equipment and apps or software you use to make your reels. They look so good. The lighting,
thank you.
the
Very
sound.
simple. Very simple. I use my iPhone for all the photography and video. Most of the editing I do on my phone with a program called InShot. And I learned about this from Natasha Pierre, and she has instructions how to use it, which is really great. It's called InShot. There's a free version, but grown-ups should probably get the full version. So you can do most of the editing just on your phone, which is really liberating and easy. But I do some editing, like if you're trying to do a screen capture of software, well, like you want your students to see how to kern or how to do some cool thing in Illustrator, you might need a screen capture on your desktop to just record what's going on your screen. So I do that too. So sometimes I need to take it, to a higher level on my desktop, but mostly just the iPhone. Yeah, which is really fun. A 12-year-old can do this, but don't let that stop you.
If you have a question for Ellen and you don't want to type it in, feel free to just raise your hand, your virtual hand, and we'll go ahead and unmute you. Fernanda, you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a question. You just had a comment.
Oh, no, I just wanted to add, say thank you, Ellen. I enjoy seeing your videos, and I'm kind of nervous right now because it's like I'm seeing her finally, and it's like, don't take those comments from people that say that you're too old, because I love your energy. You're so youthful and it's amazing. And I just wanted to say that. Keep going.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. Yeah, I am who I am, and that's why I know stuff, because I've been on the planet for 60 years, so.
May I ask something?
Yeah.
Which zodiac sign are you?
What zodiac? I'm a Sagittarius.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So maybe you can
Keep going. I love
tell
your
me.
vision.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Fernanda. That's very nice.
Ellen, I have a question kind of backing up off of Benicia's question about whether or not you use your content in the classroom. Is the way that you describe your design principles in the video the same way that you described them before you did the videos? Like 5 years ago, before you were doing any reels, were you explaining grids with a brownie? Or or that kind of no?
No. I love, that's a great question. Yeah, like the videos have made me always look for a metaphor, with wine and cheese, or cutting cake, or pouring Jello into into a goblet, because to make the video fun, something cool has to be happening. And that's what makes them intriguing, is that there's always some connection to like Type Mom's world, which could be baking or cleaning up my drawers or hanging up some laundry, so, or just playing with my beautiful dogs. Yeah.
That's awesome. Natalie, you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm curious, Ellen, is this something, do you think you would eventually have stumbled into doing this type of content if you weren't encouraged to do so? Do you think this is something?
No, it was a complete fluke that this, young woman at Domestica like told me to do it, and I'm very obedient. And she's like, you have to make reels, and I'm like, okay, I guess I have to make reels. And I didn't want to. I'm always annoyed when people ask me to send a video about something, because it's like, nobody likes talking, I'm not an influencer. I don't, want to talk into my phone. And so it was kind of a gift that she said I had to do it. And I did it. And it's been really fun. It's become like a part of my practice. Victor and I were talking earlier about practice, about teaching as a practice that happens in your classroom, but it also happens in conferences and things with your peers, and it can happen on Instagram if you want, but you don't have to. And there's lots of other things you can do on Instagram, like you shouldn't only make reels, because reels are kind of like, they're a big deal and they're kind of demanding. And I get annoyed when somebody has too many, and my feed is like dominated by reels from a particular organization. So you should also do like carousels and stories that go away but have like real links in them. So like I say, don't overdo it,
How many do you release? You have like one a week or two a month, or do you have a schedule?
That's more like yeah, that's a good question. Everybody says you should have a content strategy. That is way too big for me. 2 or 3 a month. But they take a fair amount of time, and I also just don't want to be too much. So I find two or 3 is I can keep up with. Closer to 2, to be honest. Hey, Patricia.
How are you?
Great, nice to see you.
This has been so helpful. So are you going to do a compilation, or what's the next step with these?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I'm thinking about redoing some or re-releasing some on TikTok. And people say, well, why aren't you on TikTok? Well, I do have a few videos on TikTok, but I have no following on TikTok. And so when I have a lot of followers on Instagram, so it's very natural for me to communicate with that audience. But I have a new book coming out in the spring, and so doing these things on TikTok and showing the book, it's a new edition of Thinking with Type, I think could be fun. And that's really nice that some of you would follow me on TikTok. So I think I'm going to try that. Yeah.
Well, we all know that you're a twin, but I think really you're a twin. Between the two of you, you've got an extra person working for you.
Type mom. That's my third twin. I like the suggestion of a show on Bravo. Thank you, Victor, for that. YouTube, Noah, I would love your advice about that. I am interested in that. Is that something that you're doing? And why would I do that? Why are you doing it? What's the advantage? I love this suggestion. Are you here, Noah? Maybe Noah left.
I think he's still here because he's not ghosted out, but maybe he doesn't have the
Okay, that's
ability
cool.
to. Yeah, the microphone's not working. So Noah, if you want to go ahead and answer in the chat, that would work too.
Yeah, I am curious about that, Noah, about long form video. And yeah, so any other questions? Like these video editing tools that are in your phone are so great. It's really fun and easy.
This is unrelated, but is the thinkingwithtype.com website going to come back online? Because it went away. And I was so sad.
I'm sorry. I have a new website, ellenlupton.com, and I'll try to put a bunch of that content on there as my new book comes out. That's a really good suggestion. I just couldn't handle like maintaining all these websites. That's really like beyond my ability. So I'll try to put that basic stuff on ellenlupton.com.
Natasha, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. And good to see you here, Natasha.
Yeah, no, the question is like how Ellen is finding so much time to do all these things, because 5 hours for each Instagram reel, and then you know, everything else that you already do with so many books and curating, and you know, it's amazing. So we are thankful for your contributions, and we want to learn how to manage time so well.
Well, I'm not a curator anymore. I left my job at Cooper Hewitt a year and a half ago. And in a way, this is like one of the things I get to do now, because I have one full-time job, not two. And so I've really enjoyed just having this other medium for producing and publishing, for getting ideas out. But if you're only doing 2 or 3 a month, it's not that much time. You know, if you were trying to do it every day or every week, like I feel like some of these young people who are like professional influencers, they just live in front of the camera of their iPhone, and it's so much pressure to be constantly coming up with things for your followers. So keeping it like reasonable and not making it into too big a deal, I would really recommend.
Do you foresee yourself expanding past typography in these reels to other design principles?
Absolutely. Yeah, I did one about color
history?
theory. That was really fun. I want to do some stuff about negative space and balance and kind of basic design things. And yeah, design history, you know, like women in design and opening up the canon. So the Trajan's column thing was a little foray into how to do like a design history, kind of drunk history, mini history thing. in a playful but serious and really well, researched way.
No responded, so I'll go ahead and read it for the benefit of the recording, assuming the recording worked. Noah says, I'm a very big fan on video essays. This is what I'm referring to mostly. They are all long format and great for visual learners. I am on the path of creating my first, but I would definitely recommend looking into them. I'd be happy to share examples as well.
Yeah, I'd love if you want to email me some examples of what you love. Like I watch Vox Media explainers. I think those are really good, but they're so, highly produced. It's just a little intimidating to sort of scale up to that level. That, would be tough.
When we were talking before the pre-show, you and I, one of the things I mentioned to you is that it's like I'm envious of how you cut through the lesson, like right into like the base of the lesson. It's like, why didn't I think of it that way? How could it's like one of those like, oh, of course, that's how. And so it's one of the reasons I was asking you, this is just how you were to explain it before the videos. But I'm wondering if there's, as you continue going through the videos and you get a little bit better, and you start picking up the subtleties and nuances of the medium, do you think you'll go back and kind of like rework some of those, or rethink or re-explain how the grid is done?
Definitely. Yeah. I want to redo the wine and cheese. And
Right.
some of my very first ones, they're almost incomprehensible. They're so fast. And like, you really don't have to rush. You have 90 seconds. So people don't have to watch it if they don't want to watch the whole thing. It's a free country still, sort of, So you just definitely get better at it from doing it.
That's awesome. A few people have questions about which Vox channel. I think, Julie, you're asking on which channel YouTube Vox. Oh, I'm sorry, that was to Lisa. I show Vox videos.
Vox Media. I don't know that I get them like emailed to me. They're amazing and just beautifully produced, beautiful graphics on screen, like highly aspirational. And they'll be about all kinds of complex topics. Yeah, so looks like we might be winding down on questions. I saw Kalina had a question. Are there any that I haven't aired? Yeah, that's a really nice question, because I always try to keep an extra one so that if I run out of energy, I have one to share. So I do have one that I haven't released yet.
I guess I was also thinking like about
Hi,
through the
Kalina.
lens. Hi, Ellen. Through the lens of like learning from failure, like if you recorded some that you just didn't like. And I think you sort of alluded to that already though. And you just did not want to post it because, I mean, we all sort of learn from that. I just wondered, like, when did you sort of feel like, okay, I think I have it now and I'm ready to start posting these, or did you post the first few that you recorded? I think that's where my question.
I did start posting them right away.
Okay.
But even though they were, they got better, I didn't know that they would get better. Again, this lady told me to do it, so I was like, I got to make these reels. I actually did one to promote this event, and then I got embarrassed, like it felt too promotional, and I didn't put it out there. I don't know, it's just sometimes you go like, oh no. I see lots of good suggestions on the chat. Are you doing reels, Kalina? Do reels about your book?
No, I don't know. I think maybe I'll feel more courageous after this. I don't know. But I do like the idea a lot.
It's a nice way to get like the ideas in your book out to people in a different medium. Yeah. And some of them will buy the book, but that's not as important as that you're getting your content out.
Yeah, I really like the idea though, like where you started about using it as sort of an opportunity to teach something, and sort of contribute to, to, I guess, the conversation in some way. So I do really like that. So I'll give it I don't know, some thinking.
Cool.
Any more questions? Either on the chat or by unmuting yourself or raising your hand.
I don't know if there's a
All
lot
right.
of time, but has Ellen thought about how AI is going to impact what she does, or do a video about how you can use AI to help with storytelling or anything like that?
That's a great content idea. I will write that down. I like that. I have not thought about how AI will impact what I'm doing on Instagram. Obviously, we're thinking about it in teaching in school, and it would be a good topic to address, how students could be using it, but also unethical uses. It's a great topic. And they could be fun, funny.
Well, thank you so much, Ellen.
Yes, good. I love being here. Thanks for including me.
love the videos. I think they've helped a lot. I think I told you in the last virtual event that I've stolen some of your content, some of your ideas for this classroom. Nowhere nearly as well as you present it, but at some point I think I'm just going to show the videos. But I do appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everything you do for us and for our design community. So thank you so much. And thank you for everyone Thank you everyone for being here. I hope you all have a great weekend. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving, and be safe, be brave, be bold, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, AIGA.